Well, let's stay with that. And the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo in Saudi Arabia to meet Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. It's expected they will discuss Iran, Syria and the conflict in Yemen. Mr. Pompeo said he will ask the Crown Prince to hold journalist Jamal Khashoggi's killers accountable. Let's discuss this more. With us is Global Affairs Analyst Michael Bociurkiw. Michael, thank you very much for joining us. And given that the US Senate directly blames the Crown Prince for the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, how much of that do you think will be reflected in Mike Pompeo's words to Mohammed bin Salman in their forthcoming meeting?
Sure. Well, good to be with you. Of course, Mike Pompeo has a very tall foreign affairs order for this trip, ending that blockade on Qatar, countering growing Iranian influence in the region. There's Yemen on the table. But, he is saying the right things, that they are concerned about the murder of Khashoggi and that not enough has been done to investigate who exactly was responsible. Now, it has to be said that now with the changing dynamics in Washington, democratically controlled Congress, and also pressure even from Republicans in the Senate, that their hand is being forced and that they will have to deal with Yemen more forcefully with the Saudis and also the Khashoggi murder.
Canada, meanwhile, has been taking a very different and a very bold stance. I mean, publicly and vocally criticising Saudi Arabia on human rights issues and, of course, most notably in recent days giving asylum to Rahaf al-Qunun, the Saudi teenager who'd locked herself in a Bangkok hotel room saying she feared her family was going to kill her.
Right. Well, I think this is a sign of Canada really punching above its weight. There is, I think, disgust at the way Saudi Arabia has treated women in the country, and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who, by the way, is in an election year, is reading the Canadian political sentiment and going very hard on this. And the repatriation and granting of asylum to Rahaf al-Qunun was done extremely quickly. So I think Canadians support that. Now, it remains to be seen whether they will go through with the $15 billion arms deal to Saudi Arabia. The problem there, of course, is that it could cost up to 3,000 Canadian jobs in vote-rich Ontario and cost a lot of money. So that's a big issue.
Right, so you're describing there one of the factors, one of the risks that Canada is taking by behaving like this with Saudi Arabia, perhaps that the US isn't prepared to take. One of the many risks it sees and could befall Canada. Do you think that will happen?
Yes, I think so. Trudeau likes to say the world needs more Canada. And also, I think the government in Ottawa is filling a void, a principled, humanitarian, ethical void that has been caused by America withdrawing from its traditional role. So I think Canada is very happy to play that role, stand up for human rights around the world, and give the Saudis a very hard time. Canada is very vulnerable. It's a small country and can be easily pushed around by some of these countries. But the calculus has been that, no, let's stand up for human rights, even if there is some economic and possibly voter cost to bear later on.
Global Affairs Analyst Michael Bociurkiw, thank you very much indeed for talking to us.